Last time you saw me here was in the very beginning when I was busy laying the foundation to set up my young urban food forest based in Cape Town in South Africa. Now, summer 2022, I just want to take you through what's been happening in the food forest area, what's been thriving, what's in the ground, what's in this area in front of me that was filled with green manure and everything that I showed you in a previous video. So let's take a look. Hope you enjoy it, hope you get inspired to try something like this. And if you've got any questions about anything I'm growing, why I'm doing something a certain way, please drop them below and I will get back to you. So my young food forest is broken up into 4 sections. This one in front of you, this bigger middle section, there's a thin little section running through there, and then right at the back over there, there's another section. Now what I'm doing is the section at the back there is going to be an elderberry and other berry section because it gets nice semi-shade for most of the day. This is a strip through the middle which I've got a couple of trees planted in, and then I'm going to be planting things like chilies, which I have lots of strawberries, and then as you'll see, which you can actually see right in front there, clusters of beans underneath each tree, which is serving as a nitrogen fixer. So I don't need to put as much nitrogen into the soil. And then this section in the front here is the main feature section. Inside here we have a lime tree, an apricot tree, and an almond over there. Then its pollinator almond is right there behind it. And then what I'm doing in this section is using it to be quite a wild, natural area. So what I have here is olive, pomegranate, banana, there's a massive perennial basil over there, and then lots of herbs in between. One of my favorite things that I've grown for the first time, I'll bring it in closer, you can see it, is this little guy over here. This is strawberry spinach. Now, I was skeptical when I heard it for the first time, but this strawberry spinach is absolutely delicious. Still very small at this point, but letting it go to seed, letting itself seed itself, and that's the whole idea here. Is in front there, if I bring it in close here, you can see that's a beetroot and it's about to go to seed. The idea is I'm going to let it go to seed so that it can self-seed and get beetroots as we go. Same with the amaranth. Here's a smallish one, but you can see it's already starting to get those beautiful dreadlocks, and that's going to go to seed as well. And then I'm just going to let it do its thing. So let's do a little bit of a walkthrough. What we have here is a really horrible section because the moles have absolutely decimated this section. You can see the moles have been in there. There's quite a lot of strawberries that have sent out runners that I've redug there. But in essence, all of this over here, we had lots of French tarragon, all gone. The combination of dogs and moles have just absolutely destroyed this section. But moving slightly inwards and we're starting to get a bit more life. We have a raspberry over here, and then you can see all the way in between I have some beans. These are mung beans, and I'm planting a lot of beans in this young food forest at this point in time for roots, for biomass, for nitrogen fixing, just to get some amendment to this, what you can see is quite sandy soil. This section wasn't treated like the middle section where I had a pretty comprehensive green manure system going in, which is, if you look at that luscious growth, really treated it well. This one, on the other hand, hasn't been treated like that, so you can see very sandy and lots of work that needs to go in. What is really good for me, I found, is chamomile. So this is a chamomile that when it breaks down, if I lift up, you can see has a lot of biomass. So that this one I'm just letting do what it needs to do, die down, and then I can plant in between that. But starting off, we've got some raspberries over here, which would, if I zoom out, take a pretty big portion of this corner once it settles in. And then lemongrass. I absolutely love lemongrass tea, so there's actually quite a lot of lemongrass in the garden. Marigolds, amaranths, more lemongrass over there, some marjoram over there, which is an absolutely beautiful herb. spreading and settling in really nicely. Like I said, strawberries, sweet potatoes. Those sweet potatoes are actually about 2 years old, and all I do is you'll see the runner sticking out. I keep taking the runner, stick it underground, fill it up, sets roots, and it just keeps on growing. It just basically keeps on sending tubers as you go. If we look in that corner over there, this is still the same plant that's been running all the way along. And then, like I showed you, here's some strawberry spinach, 2 plants. The reason why I only have 2 and why they're still quite small is they really struggle to germinate. I don't know if it's the soil or the climate. So I'm actually not going to do much with them. I'm just going to let them go to seed, self-seed, and look after them. Here we have a wormwood bush, which is an amazing pest deterrent. And as you can see, which I'm happy about, those guys are horrific. Stink bugs, but like you can see, they're doing what they need to do on this plant and not others. So what they do is, if you look at the bottom there, there's a stink bug over there. This entire piece is dead. And if I look here, right at the base of that one, the whole section is flopped over. So they actually eat it, and then their saliva kills off the growing tips of plants. So what I do is I come in here every now and then, I see them, and all I do is I flick them really hard, get rid of them, and the flick kills them. So you got to flick them pretty hard. But what this does is this plant attracts them all here, which then, if you look at all these other plants right next to it, aren't being impacted by them in any way. And then the trusty old comfrey plant right over there, right at the base of the olive tree. This one is going to get out of control. Perfectly fine, chopping, dropping as a manure and a mineral adder to the soil. Moving along quickly, there's a beautiful banana tree which is really thriving right next to a lovely lemongrass. Tea bush, cut them, have tea from it all the time. Really chills you out, something special. And here you can see once again the impact of the moles. I planted some popcorn, but they got in there, dug massive holes. You can see 2 holes over there. So I'm in the process of trying to figure out a solution that'll work for me. Basil, nasturtiums, everything interplanted, some thyme, perennial basil. Then if I go a little bit deeper in here, you'll see that there's actually a few things hidden inside here. We have a lavender. This is a broccoli that has survived summer and winter. It's pretty thick stemmed. It looks like it's been chewed and spat out quite a few times. But what I'm doing is it's going to seed again. I'm going to let it go to seed, and I'm going to let it do its thing. I'll probably selectively choose shoots as they come up in winter. But the idea is that this is just going to self-seed and do what it needs to in the area. If I look in here, we have the plant that's still trying to settle in. I've actually got 2 pepino melons from it, but yeah, that's hiding at the bottom there. Seems to be doing okay. We just had a spell of a couple of days of 40-degree temps, so quite a few of the plants are looking quite dry, but that's fine. They'll just bounce back. And here is the sweet potato that I was talking about that has actually come all the way from around that corner. And then you can see there's a growing tip that I planted under the ground as it was growing, and it just keeps going. This is the same vine. You can just see that's a section where some moles dug up a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then one of the things I'm doing, which seems to be working, I just need more of them and to make alternatives, is this little windmill. As the wind blows, it creates vibration, and I haven't had moles here for a while now, so that's working really well. I just need to find a few more of those, and hopefully I can keep these buggers away from destroying this food forest. And then if we look on this side, it's very much the same. This little sad looking section is the chamomile that I was talking about. So this is all really dense. It's busy dying down, and then this creates a really good thick layer of green manure. The roots are all underground, and you just plant right in between it, and it's a really great way of creating a lot of biomass for the ground. And a lot of amaranth. You'll see as I go through the garden, you'll see lots of amaranth. The idea behind me having so much amaranth is I plan on trying to use this in smoothies as a superfood grain. So that's my idea of growing so much amaranth, letting it self-seed, let it really get entwined into this little food forest. But yeah, harvest the grains and use those in smoothies as a replacement for chia seeds and a really good nutritional alternative. So this is the section that I planted green manure, and it did incredibly well. It added a lot of biomass to the ground. It looks a little bit bare now, but this section had 2 pumpkins in it and it was absolutely packed. You couldn't see a single bit of soil. But now that it's towards the end of summer, everything has died down, so it is a little bit bare. But that's perfectly fine because I've already started with winter planning, so a couple of winter veggies are going to go in here while I figure out what the more perennial alternatives are that I'm going to get in here. But let's have a look and see. So marigolds, this is a very young lime tree, and what I've done is at the base of the lime tree you'll see quite a dense planting of beans. These are dry beans, so they're adding a lot of nitrogen. Once they're all dry, I'll be chopping and dropping them, which creates a really nice little mini tree guild underneath it. Over there we have some more amaranth and some rhubarb. It's busy settling in. I've actually done a harvest of it, that's why it's busy looking so bare. New little leaves coming out, but harvested it about a week ago. And then interplanted here are some dahlias. Now the idea is I'm going to give it a try, but apparently dahlia roots and bulbs are actually really yummy. So I'm going to give that a go and see what they taste like. One of the vines that were busy running through here was the spaghetti squash. There's one of the spaghetti squashes hanging in the corner. There's another one over there. There's another one over there. And another one of the pumpkins that were here was the Jack Be Little or Cinderella pumpkin. That one's in there. Another amaranth, like I said, and as I go around, little experimental red cabbage corner. I'm trying to see if I can grow cabbage in summer here. So far so good. What I have found very interesting though is they are interplanted with wild garlic and they haven't had a single aphid at all, which is really surprising considering we have huge issues with aphids in summers and brassicas. So yeah, maybe we're in luck there. And then if we look here, this is with the Cinderella pumpkin or the Jack Be Little. What I'll do, how beautiful that is. So what I do is, if you haven't seen the video, I wrap the pumpkins in stockings just to protect them from the fruit fly. When they first germinated, they go into organza bags. Then after that into stockings, and you can see not a single sting and a beautiful little pumpkin. Here's one of the more beautiful amaranths. You can see the long tassels that are just about to give me a really nice little harvest of amaranth seeds, and right next to it another one. So this makes a lovely little amaranth entrance as you walk through. And then in the middle, which is going to one day become a feature tree, is the apricot, which is starting to put out some nice new growth. This is a plant that has been struggling. When I got it from the nursery, quite small, it did have disease. So this winter I am going to be doing a preventative treatment on it. I'll do a video so you can see what I'm going to do. But yeah, quite excited for what's going to be quite an epic centerpiece apricot tree one day. Then the little centerpiece that I was talking about, beautiful amaranth. You can see there's a lot going on here. These all need to still extend, so there's going to be a lot coming from this one plant. And then right underneath it, beautiful habanero bush, lots of chilies, lots of new flowers. So I'm absolutely amazed at how these plants are thriving. So this one is actually in quite a lot of shade. You'll see the sun is actually right behind me, and the sun comes straight into this plant, the amaranth, which means that this habanero behind it is actually in shade most of the day, or at least dapple shade. And you can see lots of green growth, no nutrient deficiency, and lots of chilies. Then you'll see here a section that to the average Joe would look quite messy. This is how I'm busy building my soil. Everything that dies just falls down. And if I show you here up close, you'll see there's so much biomass underneath here. And if I have a look here, you'll see how moist the soil is. And that's the idea here, is to keep the moisture in, add nutrients to the soil, start building it up, feed the soil as much as possible. So everything just gets chopped and dropped, and yeah, it's not the prettiest, but hell, it works incredibly well. And here's another little mini tree guild at this point in time. This is a bay leaf tree, still quite young, with a rosemary and then a planting of beans. This is going to evolve over time, but for now, it's a combination that's working really, really well. As we go, this is into the deeper shade, because if we look straight up, you can see we planted this underneath a pretty big Cape ash tree. So that means they get quite a lot of shade. All of these are doing really well in a little bit of shade. This is more lemongrass. As you can see, I really love my lemongrass. This is a bird's eye chili. This bush is also absolutely thriving. Got so many chilies on it, and so many flowers, and just so much growth. You can see it's really dense and really happy. So yeah, in essence, chilies, food forests, partial shade, really just works incredibly well. And if we look on the ground layer, you'll see lots of strawberries. They are absolutely scattered everywhere. And the idea is that this middle section one day would just be completely overrun with strawberries, because we all just love strawberries. And then we have lavender, which is doing okay, not thriving because it's in quite a bit of shade. Wild garlic, which wild garlic for me works incredibly well. If you have wild garlic and you're not sure what to do with it, it is a great alternative to garlic. So all you do is you take a leaf, chop it up, and you have garlic. It's got a very mild garlic flavor, but if you take enough of it, you chop it up, add it to your dishes, it's just a really nice addition to the kitchen. And then here we have an almond tree, one of the cross-pollinating almonds with a fruit fly trap, with a few fruit flies that have been caught. These buggers are absolutely destroying the food at the moment. But in essence, another little planting of beans straight underneath, and lots of little new shoots of growth busy coming out. The plantings of beans underneath these trees really is proving to work incredibly well for me. And then the pumpkin that was in the middle, which pretty much took out that whole section, has now died off and sent out a runner, which I'm just letting it do its thing. And yeah, hopefully I'll get another one or two before the cold sets in. And then at the very end here, we have the other almond. This almond has put on quite a lot of growth. If I have a look here, this is all the growth this year since planting. Same here, quite a lot of growth. And once again, a pretty intensely planted bean little guild underneath it. This is adding a huge amount of nitrogen to the soil. It's also giving me a lot of beans. These are the sugar dry beans, so beautiful white bean once it's dried up, but in essence giving me a lot of nutritional value to put back into the soil without me needing to add anything. And here's two more beautiful pumpkins from the garden. This is a spaghetti squash, and here's a second one over here. Same principle here applies of using the stocking. I pull the stocking off. Look at this absolute beast. Beautiful one. Not a single sting. And this is going to be gorgeous. And then where the pumpkin was, you can see strawberry. The strawberry runners are absolutely everywhere. And that is a black raspberry bush. black raspberry bush is going to take up that whole section. So you can see right now I don't want to plant too densely over here because I want things to have enough space to fill in. I'm quite happy with strawberries to take out this whole section one day, with the black raspberries taking out that one. We've got the apricots over there, we've got the amaranth over there. So yeah, there's a place for everything, and with time everything will settle into its position. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to one day this being an absolutely beautiful urban food forest in the middle of Cape Town. So the last thing I want to touch on is paths. The last time I did a video here, you would have seen that there was nothing. There was no path, just a whole bunch of sand. And now what I've done is I've framed the areas just the way I want them. I like the use of the angles here. Personal preference, there's no right or wrong. And what this is doing is it's creating a network of moisture retention and also fungi. The fungi that live within these wood chips is absolutely incredible. It also breaks down and slowly starts adding nutrients to the soil over time. It really is a proven technique to healthy food forests, healthy gardens. Paths are really important when it comes to food forest. So there you go, a nice summer update on my urban food forest. That being said, a young urban food forest here in Cape Town. Give it another 3 to 5 years and it would have a canopy. The apricot is going to be probably about 4 meters tall, creating a nice semi-shade canopy for things to grow underneath it. So what you're seeing here is very young. It's all settling in, still trying to find its feet, but at least it gives you an idea of the journey from going from nothing, just pure sand, to using green manures to create biomass underground and green manure on top. Planting it up, planning, getting some trees in here to create that canopy. I hope it's inspired you, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And then please do subscribe to my journey so you can stay updated with this little food forest and also everything else that I'm busy doing to live more sustainably. Thank you for watching, and until next time, happy gardening.